Oil is seen flowing onshore in Jamaica. This image is confirmation of this fact. This image is an image from back in 2018, and the source of this image is Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, as well as a consulting firm. Now, there may be some of you who will really take this news or this me bringing this up again and be like, yo, boy, you should not be talking about this. Where it doesn't matter where you stand on the geopolitical fence. The reality is oil is in Jamaica, and this is public knowledge. And in the context of this knowledge, it is important that you are aware of this. And as in the context of being aware, you have a degree of insight in terms of where we stand in the whole reality of, can it be that Jamaica can actually experience the reality of having commercial oil on our shores? Now then, to bring you up to speed in terms of where we stand in the reality of what are the findings, I present to you some of the uh, cross sections and insights provided or shared in this GeoX Pro uh, blog content. And this would have been published by United Oil and Gas as well as the other authors. Here you are seeing segments of a cross section, and this cross section uh, it basically would have run from Windsor or sections of Jamaica's north coast, Windsor going through Santa Cruz, then into the Pedra Bank area. What it is that you need to understand with this diagram is that it basically gives you a visual of the subsurface layers. Specifically, the brownish area is the area of source rock. Pink area is basement rock. Basement rock could be more than likely the igneous rocks. And then there are the yellow layers, blue layers. Yellow layers is considered as the impure limestone or the yellow limestone group. And then we also would have like the blue layer, which could be considered as actual white limestone group or other components of the limestone group. Additionally, there are these blue purple lines, which are the fault lines. And if you look on the y-axis, you will see that it is a representation of the depth in kilometers. So essentially, where Windsor is located, there basically is the escape. If you know about Windsor, it is a source of popular tourist attraction for firewater, and this has been declared as a zone whereby there is natural gas seeping. Now, specifically, what it is that we can also see is that as we move away from Windsor along that line, going down further towards Santa Cruz, there is the revelation that there is oil seep along the surface or on the surface. And there is basically other sections whereby we can see source rocks further deeper underground. Where you see Santa Cruz, like this vertical line there, that's more than likely a borehole. And that's basically where they would have drilled towards the basement so that they can get a representation of the different rock types from that vertical borehole itself. Moving away from Santa Cruz towards off the coast, and you should begin to see that the source rock, which is the what is it, like greenish brown, it is even deeper relative to it being on surface. And there are other layers as well, whereby you can see that because of the fault zones or the fault lines, sections of the source rock have either been pushed up or further down. Now, I will not go too much in depth about the specifics relating to the target zones of United Gas and Oil, but specifically the Colibri, you should see that the source rock is pushed up and there is a layer of yellow overlying it. And that is, long story short, an area of interest for further exploration or verification. And as we then dwell or go further down along this line towards the Pedro Bank, then you should again begin to see that the basement rock actually pushes further uh, upwards, or in other words, closer towards the surface relative to where it would have been prior to this location itself. So this is moving from basin, sorry, towards going into a platform zone in terms of the seafloor. Now, I said I am not going to go too deep into towards the specifics and the technicalities surrounding the geology of this cross section. But what it is that strikes me are the following. Well, one, as we would have seen in Windsor, there is the gas seep. And then two, as we get closer towards where Santa Cruz is, there is an oil seep. Now, question number one is, why is there a gas seep at Windsor and not also a gas seep near to where the Santa Cruz location is? And the other question is, what is that green layer in between the source rock and the yellow limestone group? Just these two questions alone represent the reality that we still are extremely young in terms of having a full understanding about the petroleum system or the hydrocarbon system that is underneath the surface in Jamaica. Because if it's a case that what it is I'm seeing here from this cross section highlights that there is this Cretaceous source rock overlying what should be Jurassic uh, igneous basement, and the igneous basement would have been the source of heat to cook in addition to the pressure of the overlying rock. Then how is it that the oil seep is not also overly cooked to yield uh, the actual dry gas? You know, the thing about is that this is just presenting a fascinating reality. So the other question that we have to also begin to ask is, with the other locations across Jamaica where oil seeps have been found, as highlighted also in this release, what does it basically mean in the context of what would have been presented to date or up to this point in time, in the sense that it would have been said that whilst Jamaica does indeed have hydrocarbons, it was not deemed commercial. Could it be that the nature of the tectonics on Jamaica's mainland is providing active movement for hydrocarbons, and in so doing, it basically now is presenting the reality that we need to basically be putting much more work now into trying to fully understand the hydrocarbon systems underneath Jamaica's surface. So what I've done here is to present you with the visual of where this cross section that United Oil and Gas Company would have done is actually located over this Google terrain map uh, on Jamaica's mainland itself. So as you can see, this is basically an area whereby in the central regions of Jamaica, it is hilly terrain, right? So it is a case where they would have gotten this visual, having gone through or gone beneath rugged terrain. And the satellite image now is giving a representation of where the basin layer is. And that basin layer, offshore that is, it pretty much sits neatly between the two platforms or carbonate platforms of the Pedro Bank, and even that platform that is closer towards the coastline of the mainland. Now then, this should just begin to tease your mind into recognizing the the depth of work that has to be done by the United Oil Group, in addition to other oil exploration companies in the past, in trying to unravel the puzzle that surrounds Jamaica's potential slash actual hydrocarbon system. This visual gives a reconstruction about the uh, birth as regards to Jamaica and other uh, locations of interest. And the other locations of interest, geographically speaking, uh, is in reference to the source rocks. So essentially, there is now a puzzle that is in place, and this puzzle is trying to be fitted in terms of trying to understand where we lie, as is highlighted in this puzzle where Jamaica is today. It has similar source rocks as locations such as Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados. And why this is key is because, as you should know, countries such as Venezuela and Trinidad, as well as Guyana, are major oil producing nations within this Caribbean basin region. And if it's a case that Jamaica has similar source rocks as these locations, well, then, hey, this means that there is some significant potential for actual hydrocarbons that are of commercial quantity. So it's now at this juncture that I am compelled to go into the field and to contribute in the whole era of piecing the puzzles together. And I want to start this work in Jamaica, whereby the oil seeps that are present, I intend to go into the field and to map. And once I'm finished with Jamaica and you have given your form of validation to the work that we're doing, we will then go to the region.